Pause the recording.
Okay, by my computer, it says 7 o'clock. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July 19th, 2022 City Council meeting. And I would like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Moakler, may I call on you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Take your hat off. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
I didn't make extra. Councilwoman Wadsworth.
Here.
Councilman Sandretto.
Here.
Councilman Moakler.
Here.
Councilman Reed.
Here.
Councilwoman Funk. Here. All present, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda, which includes the regular meeting minutes of July 5th and bills and communications.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
I need to pull out the bills and communications for an update.
Okay. All right, so we'll move then to the minutes, approval of the minutes.
Madam Mayor, I motion to approve the minutes read.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Moakler, aye.
Funk, aye.
Reed, aye.
Wadsworth, aye.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. And now for the bills and communications.
Okay. Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Council, I take this upon myself as my error. On July 14th, the Benton City Chamber sent over their bill. However, it was an oversight on my end due to payroll and upgrade systems we were having. So I've gone ahead and included it in this one. We were able to get it done on Monday because Diana came in. So we were able to add it since it was prior to the 19th. So the actual voucher sheet will be for $98,598.14. Their bill was $16,125 for second quarter. I don't know if you have any other questions.
EFTs didn't change, obviously.
No, just this one check was added.
I do have questions about a couple entries.
Okay.
The Chinook heating and air, what was that for?
That was, our AC is out at the community center. So we called them to come and check it out to see what was wrong with it. And that
Okay.
was their call out fee.
Okay. And then looked like there was a penalty payment to the IRS.
When I submitted the taxes for 2021, we actually had we were supposed to have a refund. So I didn't send a payment because I wanted that refund applied, but it ended up we owed instead of having a refund.
Thank you.
Mhm. And that was processed and already mailed out prior to the due date.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Do we want to do this as two separates, or do you want me to read both?
I think you can just read both.
All right, let me find the EFTs. Madam Mayor, I have motion to approve payroll check number 31959 and EFTs listed in the amount of $34,900.37. And I motion to approve payment of claim check numbers 31,927 through 31,958 and 31,960 with EFTs as listed in the amount of $98,598.42 on this 19th day of January 2022.
I have a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Mochler, aye.
Okay.
Reed, aye.
Wadsworth, aye.
Sandretto, aye.
Okay. Motion carries. So moving to the approval of the agenda, we have some changes to make in the agenda. We did not put the Chamber of Commerce on initially, and we would like to add them as item H1D and move the council committee meeting reports to H1E. We also have an executive session, RCW 4230-110, 1G, which is evaluation of qualifications of candidate. And I think that's all. Rebecca, please correct me if I'm wrong on that.
We have an emergency, well, I don't know if it's declared an emergency, approval item for the AC at the community center.
Oh, okay, and where would you like that?
Council action on getting that going, because we have reservations for. the
Oh,
community.
that's right. Item 6, K6. AC at the community center.
Is it discussion or? is
It's
that
up for
approval?
approval,
Okay.
action. You guys
So
have,
what, and what's the item again?
the AC at the community center.
K6 is
Okay.
what she
K6.
said.
We're adding K6.
Yeah, I think that's something we could still take action on because it's at a regular scheduled meeting.
Yeah, but we're just adding it. It wasn't on the agenda.
So is it being added on as an action item?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay. If there are no further changes, I will accept a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion to approve agenda is amended.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
We need a second.
Mochler, second.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Now, please signify by saying aye.
Sandretto, aye.
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Okay.
Mochler, aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll move on to visitor comments, and we have 3 visitors that are here that would like to discuss their items. Please limit your discussion to 3 minutes. And I'm going to call first on Mr. Don Allen.
Good evening, everyone. There's something that I'd like to bring up, and it's going to be the short plot. And so I'll be discussing that. I have concerns about it. I think there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. So I think that I'd like to have put it on your agenda for one of your meetings. Mayor, could you make that happen?
Yes, we will definitely put it on as a discussion item for the next meeting.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
The item you're wanting to do, is it just a short plat, or is it a short plat process discussion? What?
It's a process discussion.
On
it
the
the process?
shoreline.
Yes.
Okay.
No, short plat, not shoreline.
What I heard.
And I'm
Thank you.
hoping to have a meeting with Nicole and Mr. Allen and myself this Friday, if that's possible, so that we can start discussing this.
I will reach
So
out.
I task Rebecca to try to set that up.
Yes, I thank you for that, Mayor.
Okay,
That'll be all.
thank you, Mr. Allen. Okay, the next speaker is Melissa Ann McGee. And Melissa Ann, would you step up to the microphone and please state your name?
Hello, everyone. I am Melissa Ann McGee. Am I available to go?
Mhm.
Okay. I am the owner of 800 Babs Avenue here in Benton City, Washington, 99320. I purchased my home December 2nd of 2020. And on December 30th of 2020, I had a company install solar panels on the top of my home. Along with that, on January 25th of 2021, they replaced my main panel. When they did that, they used an unlicensed electrician and they fried my home. Along with that, they completely exposed my home to asbestos. March 12th, after an asbestos and mold company came in and evaluated the home, I was instructed to leave my home. March 12th is when my family and I left my home. Ever since then, Washington Labor and Industries has done an investigation on the electrical side. They have completed their investigation and they have found the company guilty. They have fined them and the company has paid their fines without an appeal. The same thing has happened with Washington DOSH Region 5 for asbestos violations. Their investigation was completed last year as well. They were fined, they have paid their fines, and they did not appeal the actions. Additionally, Benton Clean Air was also called out. They completed their investigation as of last year. They found them guilty. They fined them, and they did not appeal the actions. They have paid their fines again. So I am in legal actions and have been in legal actions for the wrongful actions that have happened against my home and my family. We have been displaced from my home since March 12th of 2021, and I have not lived in my home since. There was only one time when we were waiting for additional inspections and test results to be done in my home that after our temporary housing was exhausted, we returned to the home and we lived in a tent in the back of my home because the asbestos had gone through the air ventilation of the home and was airborne. So at that time, there was heat situation here in the city where I know that everybody knows that we got up to about 119, 120 degrees. And at that point, we became very, very ill from the heat from being here at the situation. So we were moved by my legal counsel from here all the way to Seattle. And we have been living in temporary housing in Seattle ever since. And again, like I said, I've been in legal action since the beginning of last year. With this brings along the fact that there are regulations here within the city that apply to my home that have caused a detriment to myself and the capability of me actually retaining the home in order to retain it through this process of legal actions. I have an extensive amount of legal actions ahead of me. What this means is that every single report that has been done by every investigative agency, and this is also above and beyond the test results that I have had done, there have been 2 engineers, forensic engineers, that have come back and found the home uninhabitable. An industrial hygienist, along with an asbestos hazard specialist and management project manager, has also found it. I have 5 different reports, including 3 government agencies, that have all indicated this home is completely uninhabitable. I've brought it to the city's attention because one of the things that happened in this process was that the city did not hold the company accountable for not permitting the project. The project was found and notified to the city by Northwest Codes. Northwest Codes came during the repair process when they had to replace a water heater in my home. And that's when they found that they had also not permitted the solar themselves, and it was notified to the city. That the permit actually completed 78 days after the completion of the work at my home. So at the time that the city was notified, they were already in violation. That has never been pursued by the city as I have asked for it to be pursued. In addition, as my investigation has gone on with this company, an additional 45 unpermitted projects here in the city have been brought to the attention of the city that Solgen has done, this company has done. I have also asked for that to be enforced. That has not been pursued. So the current status, because I need to wrap this up, is the fact that I have held my property for just shy of 2 years. And now, because the city has not pursued all of the actions that the city is required by regulations, which those include the maintenance code, the building code, the residential code, and an abatement code. Those all imply, and those are all designated specifically to the occupants of the residents. That is part of the city of protecting our occupants. Every other code that has been implemented has been implemented on behalf of any person that ever comes into my home to ensure their safety for the remediation process and the abatement process of my home. This discussion has been happening with the city since February 26th of this year. I have an extensive amount of communications between the city, myself, legal counsel, and Mrs. Madam Mayor. May 13th was the last time I received any communication from the city. And I have asked repeatedly, why has no one looked at all of the codes? And I will say, and I do apologize, because the initial way that I brought this to the city was I needed to know what the current status of the zoning of my home was. And if there's any form of miscommunication on my behalf, it might be that I assumed that the city was going to do their due diligence of going through every single code, which would then result in a code that I was asking, what is my current status? What I probably should have done, and I apologize for, is I should have come and said, I need to walk through these codes with you because this is the end result that I'm going to be dealing with in the future. I need to know this path of action that's going to be taken and when it's going to be taken. Even though I didn't bring it to the city in that way, and I assumed that everything would be evaluated properly and implemented, I still did at a later date. I came back in April or May 9th, and I met with Chris Horton at Northwest Codes in person. I also spent an hour with Millie Ann in person, the city planner. I then brought those to Miss Madam Mayor and to legal counsel. Those things have still to this day not been reviewed. So where it stands right now is that my house, as of July 9th, has now gone into the foreclosure process and has been marked for foreclosure. And that is because the house has been marked uninhabitable by every government agency and every industrial hygienist and hazardous person out there. But the only one the only thing that they protect is every worker that ever comes into my home to remediate the situation. What it does not protect is me, the occupant, the homeowner. The only codes that protect me are the municipal codes, which then enact the maintenance codes and the other codes that indicate that it's not habitable for me. So right now, I'm about to step into a legal battle that says potentially that because the city did not do their job by implementing all of these things, we'll tell a judge, oh, the city doesn't worry about it. They're allowed to create these code violations. They can screw every single homeowner by not having to get a permit. And so that's going to be okay. And it's okay for me as an occupant to go into a house that says with crossbones, do not go in. It'll cause lung cancer. I can go in.
Miss
Everyone else
McGee,
can't.
Miss
That's all I-
McGee, your time is up. What would you like us to do? Would you like to schedule this
I
for a
would-
discussion item at another time? We can't
No.
answer you today.
No, I am not looking for an answer today. I have multiple times asked for a roundtable, and I will again ask for a roundtable with you, Miss Madam Mayor, legal counsel, and every single person in this on city council, the planning department, and also code enforcement. Because I would like to have something done where we set in place, and this doesn't happen to anybody else. I'm not here to be the enemy of the city. I came to the city to be part of the city. I will be more than willing. I'm not here to create a lawsuit. I'm here to say there's a problem and we need to fix it. I am so willing to sit at the table, but I have asked for a roundtable with everyone and I have been ignored for months, almost 6 months.
This is the first, Miss McGee, your time is up. We will try to schedule a round table with you. That's the first I've heard of this round table.
My last question is why have you instructed Miss Madam Mayor, everyone to not comply with the codes? And I am done. Thank you very much.
So Rebecca, would you please schedule a roundtable for Ms. McGee to voice her complaint in detail?
Who would you like for me to schedule that with? Yourself and who else?
The people that she requested.
Okay,
I think the attorney definitely,
Yeah, actually,
and code enforcement.
if I,
Pardon?
if I may, we need to have both attorneys present.
hers and ours?
Yeah, I couldn't have a communication with her as a represented person. That's part of the issue here is I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding about what the city attorney's role is with regard to issues like that, especially with a particular individual who's represented by another council. I could not have a discussion with her in that kind of setting without first going through her counsel.
So just to clarify, if I include the city council, that will be an open meeting. Notice of
Yes.
quorum will have to go out, so it'll be an open public meeting.
I do not think, based on what I just heard Ms. McGee state, that that would be something we would want to discuss in an open setting.
No,
Well-
but don't we have to notice it as an open public meeting, then go into
Because all the
executive
council's gonna
session?
be there.
Right, but I think what she's requesting again is a roundtable. That would be something that obviously we could not have council at. That would be something that would include the mayor, the city clerk, our office, Ms. McGee, and her council. At which point we could use that information to advise council in the executive session.
We'll discuss the planning afterwards. Okay. Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we'll move on to the third visitor comment, which is from Mr. Manny Ponce.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Manny, 1405 Dell Avenue. I had came actually at the beginning of this month to propose a disc golf course. I've done a little bit of research regarding the disc golf course. I know the last conversation we had was just more of providing a map. This time I've actually gone into depth regarding what the baskets consist of, how far they need to go into the ground, the distance of each hole. And I wanted to see if I can drop this off with council, and also if council would be willing to motion to start a preparation and design of the future disc golf course.
We're not allowed to take action on a public comment.
Gotcha.
That will need to be taken up as an agenda item. And you want us to do the planning, is that correct?
No, the planning has already been taken care of. It's just more of getting your guys' blessed.
To be clear, what I instructed Mr. Ponce to do was to talk to the other entities that are planning things on the bike path in that area. For example, we're thinking about having a boat launch for canoes or kayaks. Secord Strength approached us for exercise equipment. And the revitalization committee is having some kiosks that will be going in on the path for information. So I just wanted to be sure that everyone is in agreement and that this disc golf course doesn't prohibit any of those things from going in. So I asked him to prepare a map that had all of that in there. Is all of that in there, Mr. Ponce?
It is, and I also did have a conversation with Secord Strength and also with BCRO, and with the work where the course is technically going to be placed, it's out of the way of anybody, any future equipment that may be brought out there. Now,
Could you please speak into the microphone,
Sorry
Manny?
about that. Now, regarding to a boat launch, we don't want to be responsible for a boat launch, because we would like for, if the city's going to be in charge of that, to kind of let us know. I can't speak for.
Oh, the city would definitely be in charge of that.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
I think what she was saying is where your golf course is at, that it doesn't intercede with the boat launch that's gonna be put in.
I understand.
Yeah,
It's just
just-
more of, without me having an actual plan of where it's gonna go, it's kind of hard for me to determine that. And like I said, I don't want to be responsible to prepare a boat launch when my mission is more of a disc golf course. So I do hear where the concern is of a future launch. Is since there's nothing placed out there, not even a trail that leads to the water, it's kind of hard to determine that.
I'm supportive of moving this to a future discussion item, but it may be late in August based on our current agenda.
Okay. Last meeting, August, discussion item.
Okay.
Mr. Ponce, if you don't mind coming back, we'd appreciate you to attend and discuss this in depth further.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So now we are ready for our regular reports. Staff report is in your packet. Sheriff report is Commander Clark here.
Yes, Mayor, I'm here.
Okay, good. Would you
So-
like to go ahead?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot today. I got a good report. You guys got the updates for June. We had 154 calls for service, only 11 case reports. There was not a whole lot of significant activity in Benton City, which is always good to report. We did have several infractions that we wrote. We've been trying to step up on some of the extra patrols that have been coming in for the speeding vehicles. So we have our deputies out there running speed emphasis and just keep an eye on the area. So other than that, it's been a good month for the sheriff's office in Benton City once again.
Guess it looked like we were down about 50% of what we had the year before, some big number, as I recall.
Yeah, we were down just over 100 calls for service during the month of June.
That's great. Great news.
It is great news.
Okay, are there any questions for Commander Clark?
Yes, may I address him?
Yes, you may.
Commander Clark, I can't help but notice in this deal, there's a big old thing from last year, I guess it is. And I don't know if I didn't see this last year. Or is this from this year, this extortion piece?
Where, I guess I'm trying to look. You're saying there was a call for service reference extortion?
Yeah, it's on the second page. It's under the June 2021, but I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Okay, yeah, so that one is from 2021. I'm not sure of what that is. I do know that at times the deputies will charge or send a report to the prosecutors on extortion, and I don't believe it's any type of like business. It was just a crime they sent up to the prosecutors to review. I can obviously dig into it more and try to pull up that report. I did not pull that one up because it was from a year ago.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I was just trying to clarify because I like I said, I don't remember seeing it last year. So.
Yeah, I don't think it was a major incident. I think it's just the way that the report was titled. So I don't believe it's anything to be concerned about.
Okay.
Commander, I'd also like to ask you what has been done, if anything, out on Kendall Road with the speeding.
So we've had our deputies out there working the area. I do not believe any infractions were written in that area on the ones that were there. But again, with our presence sitting in the area, that deters speeders. So when we go sit in those areas, we're not always writing tickets because we're visible, which is what we want. We want people to see us be visible and that they follow the rules of the roadway. But we have been going out there. I put that information out to the patrol supervisors and the deputies. I actually spoke with a sergeant who used to live out in Benton City in that area, and he's been sitting out there quite frequently. And he said that as he's sitting out there, everybody's obeying the rules of the road.
Okay, and I guess I'd like to ask Miss Lori Lee to comment on if you've noticed any difference.
Madam Mayor, she's no longer here.
Oh, she's not here? Oh,
No.
okay. All right.
And Madam Mayor, I know she has called me and spoke to me in my office as well. So I've
Okay.
answered some questions. So she has my phone number and information. So if she needs to reach back out to me, she is more than welcome to. And I advise her that as well.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Commander Clark?
No.
Okay. The next report we have is Spink Engineering Report, Mr. Rainey.
Well, good evening, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Mhm.
Okay, right off the top, the 9th Street sidewalks, the county approved the increase in the RCCF funds for the project. And that took place on, I think it was June 28th. So it kind of slowed us down for trying to close out the project and everything. So now we're actively going through trying to close out the project and get things moving forward. And just kind of jumping around down to projects and design, the job 16134, that's a water system plan amendment. I believe there was a question last meeting about the amount of water that's available through our water rights. And currently we're using about 32% of the water rights. We have 1,232 acre feet of water, which is about 4 million a year that can be used. So we're using about a third of that right now. And a 20-year projection, and that's required in the amendment. 20-year projection is only 41% of that. So we have plenty of water for growth in the city.
Does that mean we got plenty of wells to get the water?
No, that's another issue.
Oh,
We have
okay.
the volume. Right now, our wells are keeping up with the system, yes.
Are they
but-
at capacity or where are we at on them?
I would have to look at the hours run, but I don't believe we're getting anywhere to where we're taxing the wells. You know, July and August are going to be the high use months, but throughout the year we operate well number 5. That's the newer one, and well number 3. Those are the primary wells that operate. And then when we start getting into August, we start using well 4 and well 1 also to supplement. And that's mainly during peak demand times. So when you have high demand, you got to kick on the extra pumps to keep up with it.
Okay. This may be something that needs to go through the mayor as well as yourself, but or through our maintenance folks, but I think our new council members should be given a tour of facilities at some convenient time.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea to walk through everything and let you guys see
I did my own too.
the city operates.
Thank
Okay.
you. That sounds great.
Okay.
Okay. You want to do it in September when it's a little cooler?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
So just kind of jumping down, 19101 Dinah Lane, the boundary line adjustment should be done in the next few weeks. And so we'll work through our final design. We want to make sure we're in the right place. So, so that'll be moving forward. Hope Lane water line, the 19128, they plan to start in mid-August. So we got about 3 weeks. They should be starting. On the next page, the 414 9th Street sewer. I believe the contractor's looking at towards the 1st of September for starting. And he did say something about materials, having to get materials for that. It's been kind of slow. So I guess other than that, you know, it's all written down here.
ARPA fund second installment, you said 450,000. We got it already. It's 488.
Yeah, okay,
So just to let you know, we did receive it already.
okay. And with the RCCF funds, we did submit 2 applications to the county for that exchange for the RCCF funds for ARPA funds. And haven't heard anything back on that, but it was for the lift station 5 and I guess I didn't write the other one down. It's for the
Lift Station 5,
and Dinah and Dell.
Dinah and Dell, well fire and the generators.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Alan, I have one question. Thanks so
Yep.
much for this great update. For the county, that's everything. So that's everything that's been submitted into the county with those 2 applications. We're just waiting to
Yes.
hear back.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Moving on now to code enforcement, animal control report. Jennifer.
Thank you. Good evening. Jenny McCombs, Animal Control and Code Enforcement Officer for Benton City. So this report is 2 months again. It's May 13th to July 15th. Public contacts were 352. That's by personal contact, on the phone, emails. Dog control was 22, stop work orders 5. So that's either for a no permit or business license. Junked vehicles, 17, weeds, trash, and debris is 27, RV trailer boats was 8. For impounded animals, I had 7 of them, returned to owner 4, released or rescued 1, and got 2 of them adopted. So, yeah, that was exciting. So, injured animals was 5. That is including injured animals. I did include cats in that because that's what our code covers as an injured animals. So. Welfare checks was 9 and DOAs was 6. For the permits issued during these 2 months was 38. Residential homes was 5. HVAC replacement and installs 13. New fences 5. Re-roofs 6. Reside 1. Fire inspection 1. We got a commercial hood 1. Demolition 3. Solar panel installs. A new LP tank that was commercial and 1 remodel addition. And the inspection scheduled for those 2 months was 237. Is there any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Impressive as usual.
Thank you.
Well, I really enjoy Penn City. Just want to say that. So,
Good.
okay, thanks.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, then moving on now to the Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Renz, Dakota Renz will be speaking.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Councilor, City Staff. Pleasure to be with you tonight. So I'm here to talk about our second quarterly report for the Benton City Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Information Center. I'm going to start off per usual, going over our stats from April through June 2022. In terms of Facebook reach, 45,830, Facebook engagement, 18,170, followers, 33,277, Instagram, 556, Twitter, 117, website clicks, 2,974, weekly newsletter recipients, 1,078. With those statistics, you can see that I think that just overall, we've continued to see an upward trend of engagement, not only on our social media platforms, but also our website, specifically referencing our citywide yard sale that was really heavily utilized, especially for the citywide yard sale through the website. And then engagements on Facebook, you can obviously see that our stuff is definitely being viewed out there by our larger community. With that, also on our in-person chamber office visitors, we had 130 over the quarter, and then calls 105. We actually, over the last quarter, because of the influx and also upward trends of visitors coming into our office, specifically asking about information regarding Benton City activities, wineries, restaurants, what are things to do here in Benton City. We've been getting a lot of visitors, not only from our local area, but also out of state. We've had the couples from California over on the east side, and we actually had a family that was visiting from Japan stop in, wanting specifically the winery map. So we have now, since getting all this new information of, wanting to track our visitors and specifically where they're coming from, this next quarter we'll be submitting the sign-in sheet that will reference, where these people are coming from as well. So very good statistics to read off. Our membership continues to grow, 72 for business, nonprofit, and municipal, and then 8 for associates. So we're at 80. And our goal this year is to break the 100 counts, and we are well on our way to do so. With that developments over the quarter, so we actually just over this last month started our Benton City Chamber membership luncheons. At the last quarter report, we had talked about the chamber moving to a different structure in terms of how we're engaging our members, to where our previous meetings were very filled with board heavy information, not necessarily applicable to our members, where they weren't getting much out of it. And so we've now switched that model to reflect more of West Richland, Prosser, and this first one was completed at the Palm, which is where we will also have our second one. So these are open to the public. You do not have to be a chamber member to attend. We encourage both city councilors, city staff, as well as community members, business owners to attend. The first 15 to 20 minutes of each meeting are filled with just networking, sharing all the great things that we're all doing, updates, specials for restaurants and things of that nature. And then we'll have a speaker to talk specifically about things related to that organization, to projects going on. And we're hoping that this next one will be specifically with the Port of Benton. So first Monday of the month at 12 p.m. We've also continued to have our Benton City Days planning committee meetings. We'll talk more about Benton City Days here in just a second, because we have a lot of exciting things coming your way. Benton City Leadership Roundtable also occurred. We're having our next one Wednesday, August 3rd at 2:30 p.m. Again, encouraging community leaders involved, citizens that want to attend, please join us and see how we can all collaborate and work together. We did also update and revamp our informational kiosk outside the chamber. Hopefully you guys have seen that, and I think the response has been well received, being it's more visible, more attractive, and more easily accessible throughout the 24-hour day. Lunch and learns, as we talked last quarter, we had our first one, and we're continuing to hope to move these into quarterly lunch and learn, regular occurring events. This next one we're hoping to have is in August 2022. The last one was more focused on marketing, whereas this one we're trying to tailor more towards retail businesses, so that they can get benefit out of that as well. We did complete, we've completed 2 of the 3 of our movies in the park events. The last one was our Raya and the Last Dragon, which we're averaging about 50 to 85 participants from the community. The last one had about 50 in the park, and then also about 25 in cars. And with us recently purchasing an inflatable screen that is, I don't want to overestimate, probably dang close to twice the size of the height of this building. Very well received after displaying that for the first time just a couple weeks back. We're very excited at the possibility of maybe even doing movies in the park when it starts to get colder out. Drive-in movies. Getting a little tongue-tied there, but drive-in movies when it gets colder, so that this can not only be a summer movie series, but maybe even a fall series as well. With that, I'll go into more of the flyers in the back, because we've got some exciting things coming up. We talked about 4th of July. I know you guys referenced it at your last council meeting. We had a great overall attendance, both for our flag raising ceremony, especially the first annual Secord Strength 5K run. Over 160 runners participating, over 45 attendees at our flag raising ceremony. And we broke the 200 number. We had 210 children and families participate in our Red, White, and Boom Kids Parade. So that was a fantastic turnout, which leads us to our next event, National Night Out, happening August 2nd. As I understand, you guys have a council meeting at 7. I want to encourage you, if you have time, please stop by City Park and Community Center, August 2nd from 5 to 7. We're going to continue to have Phased, one of our featured bands that have been at previous events as well. They do a great job for us. And we're hoping to have over 20 different local resources organizations, municipalities, for the community to interact with and enjoy free hot dogs for kids 12 and under. And then lastly, I'll just touch a little bit on Benton City Days because it is well underway. We are advertising it already. Hopefully you guys have seen it, and we are planning Benton City's biggest event of the year for sure. This is going to be happening the weekend of September 9th, 10th, and 11th. Friday night, we'll continue to have our second annual Latino Community Street Dance, which will also include food vendors, a beer and wine garden, music and dancing. We are changing the location this year to our community park, so it'll be a more centralized location. And the reason also for us moving it there is we are incorporating the dancing horses competition that night as well. So we've got already confirmed between 10 and 15 participants, and really excited to bring that feature to Friday's event. Saturday, as we're all familiar with, we'll kick off the Benton City Days Parade, which is going to be presented this year by the Benton City Revitalization Organization, which will kick off the day, and then we'll go right into Little Miss Benton City pageant on the stage. Again, we're already hoping our goal this year is to break 50 to 60 vendors throughout the park. That's not just businesses, municipalities, but if anybody is running for election, those are also available as well. Fill in the park with games, knockerball, food and sale vendors, beer and wine garden. We're also going to have our second annual Pacific Northwest Barbecue Association barbecue cook-off. Not just limited to registered businesses. If you know how to barbecue and want to test your skills, very much invite you to participate. It's going to be a great event, and if we get over 15, we had 14 in 2019. If we get over 15, it's a nationally qualified event. So very much please help us spread the word on that, as well as Benton City Days overall. And then to wrap up the day, we're going to have our first annual Benton City Uncorked community concert. This has been on hold for about 2 years because of COVID, but specifically referencing our Red Mountain and our winery, being right in the heart of wine country here. And so we wanted to display that on Benton City's biggest event of the year. This year, we're going to have phased open the night, and then we will move into Groove Principle. Hopefully you guys know of them. If not, they're a great rock kind of 80s cover band and have some of their own songs as well. But that'll be from 7 to 10 p.m. And then lastly, on Sunday, the September 11th, the Benton City Junior Fair and Rodeo Association will wrap up our Benton City Days with a community fun day. So a very jam-packed weekend. I wasn't definitely able to go over everything that's going on for that weekend, but just know we have a great committee that is putting together a lot of exciting event elements. David, for instance, for our food vendor, has done an amazing job reaching out to food vendors, not just from the local area, but also incorporating and making sure that we're involving our local storefronts as well. Maria Garcia, who's our sales vendor, is already packing the place, reaching out to farmers markets and getting a lot of interest from there as well. And overall, it's just been a great team effort to finally see all the hard work that we've been trying to do over the last 2 years come to fruition this year. So a lot of words. I know I just talked your ear off, but with that, is there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Dakota. Okay, now we have several updates that, we have council committee meeting reports first, and then we'll go into discussion items. Are there any council reports?
Madam Mayor, last Thursday, I attended the Ben Franklin Transit Board of Directors meeting. Big items out of that, they've dropped any discussion of sales tax for the future. It's off the agenda. And they're experimenting with a trial bus that is a smaller version, hopefully to save costs and use less fuel. And that's all on my report consists of.
Thank you. Are there any others?
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
So since our last meeting, these are not in order. I attended the chamber luncheon at the Palm. It was really well attended, met some new people. It's already commented on. I attended the BF Transportation Committee, Action Committee meeting, and the focus was really on the call for projects that's coming up due this Friday, which council supported for us to put our plans together to get, in hopes of getting some more money. Last Friday, I attended the BF board meeting on behalf of Mayor Lehman. And it was a good learning opportunity. A really big focus of that meeting was, again, the call for projects. There was a lot of different discussion that was covered. Last week, I attended the I-82 sub-planning meetings and look forward to additional information as a result of those sessions. I would note to council that council member Wadsworth attended one of the nights with me, and there was a couple people who attended from Planning Commission. There were other stakeholders that came, but no one else from the community who lives here. I attended the Red Mountain AVA monthly meeting to provide an update on our federal appropriation that we're hoping to receive from Congressman Newhouse for $2 million, just to give them an update on the pedestrian bridge, and Mayor Lehman spoke on the I-82 subplan. We've had some internal meetings here with staff led by Alan, who's done a great job, and also one with BF related to that same project request for funding. And big thanks to Councilmember Sandretto for participating in that as we get ready to submit applications this Friday, which we hope are competitive, and get some more money in for safe routes, complementing some of the other projects that are going on for crosswalks and stuff like that. Also for Benton City Revitalization Organization, as a point of clarification from earlier discussions, the kiosks had gone through cultural survey last year. This is replacing the one at Sportsman's Park and then adding to along the 14th Street walking trail. Concrete's being poured today and tomorrow, and then we'll be working on, we have to let it cure, and we'll have a team out along with Top Tail Greenway and probably Fish and Wildlife hopefully before the end of the month to get those kiosks erected, especially the one at Sportsman's Park, so we can get some more signage up both on safety and then some of the other things that we've been talking about here. And tomorrow is the irrigation meeting. Last thing I had on the list was Benton City Healthy Coalition launched their community survey, which will be going now for a while, and they're just asking for more participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we will move on now to our discussion items. The first one is the update on the fire inspection fees for business licenses. Rebecca.
Yes, ma'am. At the last meeting that we had, you guys requested I talk to DOR about adding the feature of like an option to put if they have public occupancy to where it would add the 75. They don't have that option. So what they came back and recommended is creating 3 different categories. General, which the general business licenses would include the 75 automatically, which would be like, for instance, the Palm, Subway, those types of business licenses would be considered general business licenses. And then another one would be home occupations. And because not all home occupations have public, I don't know what's the word.
Occupancy.
No, they have public occupancy.
They're not
but
open to the public.
They're not open to the public. But some are. So if we want to differentiate those two, and then outside city limit businesses, which would be contractors and stuff like that. And then that way, then we would still have the 3 categories, which we have now, but just relabel them and then implement the fee that way. And if that's what you guys are wanting to go with, then we would have to update our code with those specifications for the 3 categories and our fee schedule for, I think we decided 125 for general business licenses for all businesses inside Benton City that have public occupancy, and then leave the other ones at 55. But that's the only way that we can do it with them. So it is your guys's.
So occupied, non-occupied, and outside vendors.
Yes.
Sounds like a plan, just like that.
I like it.
So we would, so then what would be the next step is go to our code, because we have category A, B, and C already in our code, and that's how we have it in the fee schedule, category A, B, and C. And then put an example under A of, what did you say, occupied, non-occupied, and outside?
Mhm.
Under,
Occupiable, non-occupiable, and outside vendors,
so we would change the name, we could put occupiable and give examples,
publicly occupiable.
give examples of what those would be.
Perfect.
And then for publicly not occupiable, give examples of those. And then outside would be contractors, et cetera. And then that way we would only change the fee for A, which would be 125. Is it 125?
Yes.
Okay. And then renewals would stay the same, but only A would change to 100. So I will get that going before I leave. Or to come back to you guys.
Okay.
So is that what we're gonna decide on doing?
Yes.
Okey dokey. We'll get working on that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item is the finance clerk job description discussion, and that's Rebecca again.
Yes. So I was in the, it was my understanding that we were gonna do a finance clerk position after our discussion last
Yes,
time.
that's correct.
However, I was getting different feedback of what this position was going to be. It would be a backup to the city clerk treasurer only. It's a backup to AP. The treasurer positions, the duties would go to them and not be the city clerk anymore. So the reason I brought this to you guys is so we can determine exactly what we're wanting this position to be. Is it a backup to the city clerk / treasurer and AP? Or take some of the responsibilities away from the treasurer completely and be with the finance clerk, take some from AP and give to this person, be the backup to AP? Because I'm trying to get this done, because to give this to our union so they can review it and be accepted to be then added to our CBA and then update the code for fees and stuff. And I gave on here the salary range that I found online would be 33,000 to 51,000. Don't know where you guys want to put this person at. So I brought it to you guys so you guys can see what I came up with, if you guys are okay with that, or did I misinterpret what you guys wanted? Because I don't want to do something and you guys be like, no, that's not what we were trying to do.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
Rebecca, thanks for doing this. As a point of clarification, currently, the job description, the proposed job description for finance clerk is simply is maybe oversimplifying it, taking things from the current clerk treasurer and splitting them with the finance clerk. That's the extent of the work that's been done.
What I've put on here is that they will assist the city clerk treasurer and whatever they give to be done.
But it does not, okay, and it does not include a review or consideration of how AP or deputy clerk things and job descriptions and tasks.
Today, I actually gave this job description and the AP clerk job description to JB to review, because I've been looking at this so much, I can miss some stuff. And his feedback was, they're not the same. So this is not like the AP clerk. What I took into this is I try to think, okay, what does the AP do right now? Bank reconciliations, the checks, accounts payables, accounts receivables, and then that stuff I put assist with that. However, she saw it and her feedback was that I'm trying to take her job away. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make this person an additional person to help the city clerk and be the backup to AP. That's how I understood you guys wanted this position to be.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
So speaking for myself in the discussion we had, My intention was specifically to have this person be able to handle anything financial, whether it's their primary task or not. But they need to have, the problem with too many businesses is they don't have redundancy. And as we've discussed in private session, if you don't have the ability to have somebody able to cover a position, that's a problem. So the idea here is they were going to primarily handle the audits, the financial records, but they could also assist with the other functions.
And that's what I've put on here.
And that's exactly what we want.
Because as you can see, assist and prepare, maintain financial administration and annual budget, assist with customer service, information service, record management, payroll, accounts payables, accounts receivables, assist with managing loans and investments, cash management, review and assist with revenue and payroll and petty cash. So a lot of it is assisting either the city clerk or the accounts payable. One of the things that I've given them specifically is monitor cash flow for insufficient funds are available, track assessment paid, verifies, coordinate record keeping with the county, works with the auditors at year end and generates reports requested by city clerk. So I just want to make sure that how I created this is what you guys were wanting. Or was there other stuff you guys wanted this person to do?
Rebecca, I think if I might jump in here, I think that the clerk treasurer should be able to assign that person any task that she needs help with. So I think the treasurer would be largely in control of what that person would work on. And the treasurer would verify her work.
Madam Mayor, that's fine to have listed that there's
Additional
any
duties.
additional duties as assigned, but speaking from employment law, it's really good to have a job description that lays
Oh,
out.
I agree. Yeah, yeah.
So that will be added as the next point on your additional duties as assigned by city clerk / treasurer. So if you guys are okay with this, the only next thing is salary range 31 to 50, 33 to 51.
So through the process that you went through and thinking about AP and deputy clerk, is there any modifications that are needed in those existing job descriptions? So you have redundancy, but so things can make more sense.
There is some that will have to be done to the AP clerk. Being that person is now in the back, they don't assist with answering phone calls, taking payments in the front or anything like that they used to do.
So I don't know a lot about going to the union. In fact, I don't know anything about going to the union, but I think I would strongly, I'm going to ask the question. It feels like if you have other things that need to flow together from other places, you need to put that thing all together to go to the union.
Yeah.
And that's not quite what we have right now. Yeah. But maybe I'm wrong about how that stuff works.
In order for this position to be created, I have to present a concrete job description with pay to our union representative. They will review it and then negotiate with us, and then they will determine whether it is in their CBA. And then if they say yes, then I have to update the wage ordinance to be included in that as well. And then we go out for.
What about the other positions though in the job descriptions that we have that are inaccurate and don't reflect current people's responsibilities?
I will have to update those as well.
And they need to go at the same time as this one?
No, they don't.
No?
Mm-mm.
Should they go at the same time as
If you
this one?
guys would like for them to go all at the same time, it can be done.
I think if we do all of them at the same time, it's gonna delay hiring, which is gonna set us back. Because if we've got to go through all of them before we get approval of the group as a whole, that's gonna set us back.
Yes.
I agree with Bill. I think moving forward with this as quick as we can, so we can alleviate some of the issues that we've discussed. Is important.
So I would just need a recommendation from you guys, if this is okay with you
Yeah.
guys.
Yes, it's
I
okay.
can, and then the pay since there's a variety. $17,000 difference from,
Well, let's figure this out. I don't have a calculator on this thing.
got one on my phone.
What's 18 times 280 or 2080?
3744.
So yeah, you're gonna want to start in that range for entry level,
Okay.
because right now, most folks can get $15 to $16 at the fast food restaurant.
Mhm.
And you're also looking for somebody that has, it looks like at the bottom here, you're gonna be looking for a college degree, 3 to 5 years. So I feel like
Yeah,
to
so
get somebody with a college degree for 3 to 5 years, you're gonna have to bump that pay up quite a bit.
let's start with entry level position, that rate. And then go from there.
51,000 starts off at $24. So are we wanting to start at 20? 20 to 22?
Where's the benefit package fall into this as well?
Yeah,
It's incremental.
They should receive the same as
Yeah.
the remainder of the CBA.
Yeah,
right.
they're gonna be part of the CBA, so whatever the CBA gets, they get.
So
But
times
that's-
150%.
That's part of your compensation.
Yeah.
So again, speaking from myself,
Mhm.
entry level, $18 an hour. With a range going up to the 51, dependent on education and experience.
Okay, so when this does go to Russell, I will present it as a range of 34,000 to 51,000, depending on experience, education, all that stuff. And then,
Respectfully, though, we're saying they need to have 3 to 5 experience.
It's right here, that college.
but it can
degree
change.
and-
Because that's what's requested for the city clerk / treasurer. I left it there to see if that's what you guys wanted.
I think we should hire, I think it would behoove us if we're in a hurry to hire someone, that it's someone with experience. So starting at the very bottom maybe doesn't help us as much as we need or want or desire.
Well, when we put this in the salary schedule, we have to have a bottom,
Okay,
and then we have to go up from there.
so $18 an hour is 37,400.
Right.
What do you want it to be the max at, depending on their DOE?
Well, I'd say as far as the job description and hiring, what's 10%? No, 20% more than that? Say?
Where did you get these rough?
Government salaries.
Okay, you just went off.
In the
Did you
state of
check?
Washington?
Yes, ma'am.
And do we know of any other cities that have finance clerks that?
I actually saw some, like the city of Sultan is a deputy treasurer. They're $7,000 or $8,000 a month. I went to AWC to look for some as well, and they're pretty high up there. But then again, they're on the west side. We're on this side. You know,
Well, and
so-
you're talking a deputy treasurer. We're talking somebody to assist and
Yeah,
and
that's
do
why.
basic bookkeeping
Yeah.
and build upon that and
Mhm.
build upon their education, time and grade, and start being able to maybe take the position of the deputy or the city clerk
Mhm.
at some point. So they know that functionality.
So when I went into governmentsalaries.com, I put state of Washington finance clerk, because there's so many different titles to this. And this is what we wanted. And this is the average that came out, 33,000 to 51,000 for the state of Washington.
Right.
Of course, cities on the west side are gonna pay a lot more, and they have different titles. They have accounting clerk, they have deputy treasurer. So it's all different. And based off of, even when I looked at the job descriptions off governmentsalaries.com, it wasn't this specific. It was finance, accounting, customer service. It was just like very plain and simple. So that's why I figured I'll take my job description
Mhm.
and accommodate what you guys wanted with all the assists and backups and all that, because that's basically how I understood it. so I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. What, the only issue I have is the salary, because
So again, it has to go in that salary table.
mhm,
I would start at the 18 and run that up wherever we need to.
you
They-
said 20%, right?
Well, you're gonna have 5 different categories, right? Isn't that the step levels? Anybody
Not for
remember?
us.
What is it? Is it
Mm,
3?
Every year, for the CBA, you start off at your base, and
Right.
then every year you get a 1.5%, and then your longevity. That's all there is. There's no step-ins.
Well, there's a
step
lot
one.
of numbers on that sheet.
Yeah,
I
because
remember-
like, for example, it'll say maintenance worker 1, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. That's what their pay increase
Pay
is.
scale per year,
It's the scale per year, not per step.
but not
And
the
then-
longevity.
No, and then, well, on the bottom, it says the longevity, after so many years, it's 90 cents.
Like
Then,
10, 15 years,
yeah. But there's no, like, step A, step B, step C. It's
Yeah,
very,
see, that doesn't give us any room to adjust that.
That's how they have created the pay scale for the CBA.
Do you know what our entry level clerk 1 is?
50.
Is it 50?
It is. It's 49,712. I just pulled it up.
And that's what I'm saying, to be competitive in the market that we have right now and asking for.
Our general clerk right now, that we just hired in February, is getting paid $19.50. And then after 6 months, we'll go to 21 something.
But that's a general clerk. That's not, you're asking for a degree in accounting. I agree that we have to have something higher, because normally they come in and they get 80 to 90% of that salary. So if you're starting somebody at 18, you're really asking them to start at 15, and that's like minimum wage. And I really think we have to do something to raise that salary.
Coming out of school with an accounting degree, the starting salary is more than 50 grand a year with no experience
Yeah.
on this side of the state.
Your city government too here though.
It's fair.
So I suppose I can go to 24.
Well, just to let you know, city clerk / treasurer is only at 78.
I suppose I can do the 24 though. for a
That's
finance
51.
Person with a degree.
Start there.
Any other discussion on that?
I think that's appropriate.
So-
That's the direction then.
So just so you know,
Yeah, it's 50,000.
it's
50,000
51.
and change.
Yeah, but they will start off actually at 40,000 for the first 6 months, and then 90%, and then after a year, they'll get the full 51. That what we want?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll finalize this. And no changes to this?
Look fine to me.
Okay, so I'll finalize this with the maximum salary, with the salary range, and get this over to Russell.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so our next discussion item then is the No Child Left Inside. And Jennifer, our Parks or Summer Program Director, I believe is logged in, so she can speak to us over Zoom.
She's actually here.
Oh, she's here. Good. Okay, great.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer. I am your summer program director. We haven't had a good summer. The summer program is failing horribly. And it's because we don't have paddleboarding.
Jennifer, could you speak louder, please, or into the mic?
It's because we don't have paddleboarding. We don't have a place for our kids to go on the river. The city doesn't want to be a part of it. It doesn't matter how much advertising I do. It doesn't matter how much I'm out there telling people, please come join us. They don't want to be there. And it is with a very sad heart that if we don't do something to make it easier for our kids to get on the water, We're wasting resources. If we don't get a secondary boat launch, the paddleboarding and kayaking will collect dust for years. If we don't use it, we owe $17,000 to the grant because we weren't able to meet all of their requirements. Those requirements were that we would service 432 kids. Rebecca and I don't know where those numbers came from because the grant was requested and given to us before either of us were in our positions. We can't find out where it was coming from. The grant office has no record of it ever being reported we used the equipment from when we purchased it in 2019. My predecessor has pictures of it, but I can't contact her. She's living in another state. So we can show them, yes, we have used it, we have done it, but we can't use it this year. And if we don't meet those requirements, which they already extended once, it is over $17,000 that we have to pay to keep that equipment if we are not going to use it. And that is a hard fact to face. If we can get it in writing that we will get a boat launch, a secondary one, and it will be ready by June 1st of next year, we can keep the paddleboarding. They'll extend it for us and let us have that equipment and use it and meet those requirements. But in the 3 years since the program started, we had 1 year where we didn't have any activity on the water because of COVID. The year before, we were just starting out and we had a good turnout. Last year, we had a fairly good turnout. We had at least 15 kids on the water multiple times, learning to paddleboard and enjoying every second of it. Those kids wanted to sign up this year, and we don't have a location for them. And it doesn't matter how much we try and ask people or beg people, hey, can we use your property? Is there a place that you guys can recommend? It's either unsafe, people don't want us on their property, which I understand. A whole bunch of kids on their property, that is just asking for trouble. But if we don't have those resources, we are wasting them. The grant office said that they would take our contract and our equipment and transfer it to some other city that can put kids on the water tomorrow. I don't want to see that equipment go. My kids loved paddleboarding. They were out there every week, with the exception of when, my kid was sick, but they were out there every week for 8 weeks. And now they can't. If we're not going to use the equipment, I feel it is in the best interest of our city to let them take that contract and transfer the responsibility that comes with the contract to another city. We don't have the requirement of 432 kids. We do not have 432 kids in this city willing to participate. And it doesn't matter if they count each activity and each kid separately, and eventually they add up. In 3 years, I don't think we broke 150 kids using the grant. And that is a hard number to face. Because it doesn't matter if we send out flyers. It doesn't matter if we tell people constantly, come paddleboarding, come do this. If they won't, they won't. Last year, we did it for free. The city covered the entirety of the paddleboarding. And 15 kids. That's not a bad turnout, right? But there should have been a lot more. With how many kids there are in this city, there should have been more. And if our kids aren't going to use those resources, we need to send it to another city whose kids will. Because that is just not fair or wise of us.
So what we met with Kyle from the NCLI grant, and the information that Jennifer just provided is correct. They had on record that we've never used them at all. So they were about to pull everything that day when we met with them on the 14th.
I believe so.
Yeah, on the 14th. I'm like, no, we used them in 2021. We gave him the stats. He's like, so the grant is underserviced and you're not using them this year. So his words to me were, unless we get it in concrete writing and 100% assured that that second boat launch will be there next year, then they'll leave them. If not, his first recommendation is I have cities willing to take it all right now. The whole contract responsibility, the whole grant responsibility. You guys don't have to worry about nothing. We'll take everything. The grant will transfer to them. You don't have to worry about it all. And I was like, well, that's not my decision to make. That's the city council's decision to make, what they want to do. And I contacted Craig regarding that too, and he did say it is your guys' decision if you guys want to release that grant. So all of that stuff will go back to RCO, and they will disperse it with it from another city. Or if you guys want to keep fighting for it, but we need that 100% assurance that that second boat launch will go in. Because that's what we told him this year. We're trying to work on a boat launch, and his thing was, are you guaranteeing me that's going to be there? Not, we'll leave it. But we aren't guaranteed that it's going to be there next year. That's how I see it.
And if it is put in next year, we don't have the guarantee that it will be there at the beginning of summer and not the end of summer.
And we don't have any guarantee of 400 children, regardless whether the boat launch is there or not. So we couldn't meet that requirement.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
So I think one of the major problems here is I don't think the bulk of the council is aware of any kind of discussion about any sort of boat launch. So there was a statement brought up in one of our meetings that we had on the traffic control signals and such. The idea came about to possibly do a gravel launch for walking, like kayaks and such. However, in that discussion, it was deemed that we could not foot the bill. So there is no way that we can give you a guarantee. The city can't afford it. That was where the question came up, if we could possibly support engineering costs, then get the local volunteer organizations to participate in putting down the gravel so that that could be a safe set off point, possibly from the wildlife area.
And so the idea could be something like the parking lot that's theirs now is kind of small. You've heard a couple of guests come and talk about potential for expanding use of the 22 acres. To make it safe, you'd probably need a little bit bigger gravel parking lot. And to get down to the water, you may need some gravel too, or expanded natural trail. You also probably need a cultural survey to make sure that even if you're doing things over land, that it's okay. I might be wrong.
Shoreline management.
Takes time.
This is gonna take time.
And that's why, I understand that it was in discussion to put a second boat launch at 14th. And that's what I mentioned, that we were thinking about it and discussing it. We don't know if it would be for next year, 2024, whatever, but.
And we'd also have
Madam
to.
Madam Mayor, I
explain
got a
that.
couple of questions. Can I have the floor, please?
Yes.
In regards to this just being a discussion item, we cannot make a decision on this tonight.
It's not on the
Okay,
agenda.
so
Because we wanted to let you guys know where we're at and
Okay.
what the options are. Because we need to give him an answer to say, okay, we've taken it to council, this is what they're deciding to do. Whether you guys decide to release it, keep it, you guys can bring it up at the August 2nd as an action item, gives you guys some time to ponder what you guys want to do. And I can contact Kyle and let him know, we took it up to discussion because we can't make this decision, you guys. And let him know that we will have a concrete answer.
but if we also delay 2 weeks, we might be able to get more of an answer on if this is even feasible
Mhm.
by the beginning of next summer. It may or may not be.
Yeah.
If I may,
Go for it.
the boat launch parking area would also have to be expanded and made safe for kids to carry those paddle boards. Those paddle boards, if you haven't seen them, they are as about 6 feet or bigger, taller. And most of those kids are very petite. They're maybe maxing out at 3.5 feet. They're very small. They can't carry it that far. We'd have to expand that. And that's something that we'd have to take into consideration. As much as I don't want it to be, it's my recommendation that we allow the grant to be transferred to someone else. Because It's not being used by us.
Okay.
Is that equipment in a trailer?
Yes.
Yes, it
So it
is.
could be driven down there
Mhm. Yes, last
and
year.
parked there.
Mhm.
So they wouldn't have to carry them the whole way.
No, but if the maintenance guys who drive it down there for us can't get down a certain degree to the safety, then it's not something that we should ask them to do, because that puts the trailer and themselves at risk, because we don't know how well that gravel would be maintained.
Alan, could you bring back an approximate cost for the next meeting on what something like that would?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
Is there
And
any,
I wouldn't rule out the fact that Fish and Wildlife was very much for it, and they may be willing to contribute something along those lines.
Tap Till Greenway may also be willing to contribute something along with other local groups, but yeah.
Well, for everybody involved, I think we need to have answers back by the next meeting. So talk to your people.
It'll be hard to talk to all the people if we don't know what the costs could potentially be. But in terms of if they'd be willing to make a commitment and participate, we can get that information for the next meeting, absolutely.
So do you want me to add this as an action item for the next one?
It's gonna have to be an action item, and I don't know what it's gonna be an action item for. I don't know if it's gonna be to move forward with boat launch engineering, or if it's gonna be an action item to turn back the grant. So I don't think there's any motion to go with it until we have some discussion and make a motion.
Is this 432 kids hinging completely on the paddleboard and kayaking?
It is on paddleboarding, kayaking, and outdoor hiking. Unfortunately, the people that we go through for paddleboarding, they no longer have a kayaking instructor, and they haven't had one since COVID hit. The closest one that we could get would be coming to us from Hood, like Hood River area, and we would have to pay their expenses for traveling up here once a week, as well as their gas to get home. And with gas prices it is, I wasn't willing to make that call last year. It also is including day hiking, but we have to find someone who is not only willing to take a slew of kids out through the wilds of Benton City, but also be experienced enough to apply CPR, first aid of any kind, and be able to teach them about these hikes and what they're seeing. And that is harder to find than you would think for this area.
So this grant was based off of hiking, paddleboarding, and kayaking, and all we've done is paddleboarding in 1 year, and we've had it since 2019.
We did it the first year.
Yes.
Okay.
Brenda, my predecessor, was able to get kids paddleboarding. I know for certain paddleboarding in 2019. Kayaking, I'm not sure.
I'm spitballing here, but I want to think we had 64 kids.
And it's hard for me to get the accurate numbers from her, because she either does not respond to messages or she is unavailable. So.
And the only numbers I have are last year's from.
I would think that there's some sort of city record due to permission slips and stuff like that. It should have been filled out. I
have
remember
nothing.
signing that for my own kids who did the kayaking the very first year we did this.
I have none of that stuff. I'll
Yeah.
have to look.
I believe that was all turned into the city at the time, so.
I'll have to look for it, because the only thing I found for the city for the summer program was the 2020 reporting that we do through Prism. That's the only information I got and I found in my files. I'll request Jennifer come in and help me to see if I can find files somewhere else. But those, I only found 2 files called summer program, and it's the 2020 reporting, nothing for 2019. So I'll have to look for it. But on that note, I'll add it as an action item. I won't specify, I'll just put it as No Child Left Inside grant. And then you guys can determine what you guys want to do based off of that. Okay.
So we need commitments from our volunteer partners. We need engineering estimates as well as final cost, because we're gonna have to figure out if we can get that money donated from somewhere. Yeah, If you guys could bring all that back.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. So now we will go into a public hearing. Would anyone like to have a 5-minute break before proceeding with that?
Sure.
Okay. Be back in 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. It's a closed record hearing. Nobody can speak at this hearing unless they are a, what is it called?
Party of record.
Party of record.
And council directs questions to them.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, if I could briefly give a little, or my little quasi judicial disclaimer here.
Okay,
So we are here on a closed record hearing, which is a quasi judicial proceeding where city council, in essence, kind of acts as a judicial body of sorts, and then also as a legislator. This is pursuant to revised Code of Washington 4236. Again, this is a closed record public hearing. As was mentioned, the purpose of this hearing isn't to receive new evidence. However, parties of record who did take part in the open record hearing and provided testimony therein may provide comments this evening in the nature of summary argument only, and limited to the facts in the written and oral record that should be attached to the agenda packet that was published in anticipation of this meeting. We would just ask that the parties of record who do speak tonight state their name for the record. And we would provide them an opportunity to be heard on that matter with regard to previous testimony given. It's important to note that the quasi judicial hearing needs to be both procedurally and substantively fair. So what that means is that if there is any interested party, including council members, with regard to this specific project, that council member would want to, state that into the record, make that clear. This would include also prohibited ex parte communications. So if any of those communications have occurred, again, we'd want to state that into the record and possibly recuse that individual from acting on the matter. The ownership interest could include the council member themselves or family members or business partners and such. With that, I would turn it over to our planning department, AHBL, to provide a summary discussion on the particular plat application.
I think first we need to ask if there are any council members who have a declaration at this time regarding any of the items that we're discussing here in this hearing.
No.
No.
None? Okay, so let the record show that there are no such declarations.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
Have you opened the closed public hearing yet?
No, we have not.
Just confirming.
And so I also must ask, is there anyone in the audience this evening who would object to any council member hearing any of the items on this agenda? If not, let the record show there were no objections. Okay, so we will now open the public hearing. And we'll start with Emily. Please, would you give the staff report?
Thank you. Tonight is the closed record hearing on a preliminary plat application under the name River North. This is an application for division of one parcel into 53 single-family lots and a variance. And it includes the extension of 2 city roads and the creation of additional city streets. The parcel is approximately 13 and a little more acres in size, and it was annexed into the city last year. It's to the west and to the south of this parcel is city, but to the north and to the east of the parcel is the county. Planning Commission did hold an open record public hearing last month to take public comments and to consider all the relevant facts that we presented to them. There was substantial public comments, which are all included in the record. So in your packets, we presented the staff report and all the attachments with the public comments, additional public comment that was not included in that staff report, and finally the draft minutes from the Planning Commission open record public hearing. So you had all that information available to you for your review. Staff reviewed the application, conducted the SEPA environmental review, solicited comments from public and technical agencies as required, provided adequate notice, and held the public hearing in front of the Planning Commission. Staff then created these recommended conditions of approval, and there are 10 of them, and they each have sub bullets. Through a comprehensive review of the city's codes, the city's comprehensive plan, comments from the public, comments from those technical review agencies, the environmental considerations and best practices. And after the open record public hearing, the Planning Commission did vote to forward a recommendation of approval with the conditions that staff proposed, with 2 additional requests that they asked that the City Council consider. And those were, number 1, to consider requiring fencing along the urban growth boundary and for various variable slopes. And number 2, address concerns raised by members of the public relating to stormwater and flooding to the areas to the north and the south. So I wrote a summary on each of those points. Staff does not recommend any additional conditions that need to be placed on the development for fencing. And I go over several reasons why we don't believe that that should be a requirement of this developer. And as for stormwater and flooding, we went back to Alan Rainey and the engineer for the project. And we believe that through the city's codes, like the critical aquifer recharge area and the Eastern Washington stormwater manual, that stormwater is adequately mitigated. And therefore, we don't have any additional conditions that we would recommend for this to be placed on this development. So the suggested findings of fact, and there are 6 suggested findings of fact and 10 suggested conditions of approval in your packet. And those are the same that were presented to the Planning Commission. And on page 6 of the staff report is the recommended motion that we have prepared, which includes those 6 findings of fact, 10 conditions of approval, which includes the variance that the developer requested. And so that's just a quick summary of all the past processing. So I'm happy to answer any clarifying questions as are allowed in a closed record hearing.
Are there any questions?
Well, I guess the question is, I don't know what questions I can ask. But let's start with the fencing. So fencing to the north. This has been a real concern for the county residents, from what I hear.
Yes.
I don't know which way to go with this. Obviously, you have a recommendation, but I hear a lot of people complaining. So, or I've heard about a lot of people complaining, I should say. So the question really comes out is, being that we're abutting several county residences' homes, Would you not believe it to be appropriate to at least put the fences up when they put the houses up? I mean, if they get that far in the process at this point.
Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
Okay. So one thing I didn't point out is that the area in the county is in the urban growth area. So in the next 20 years, that's expected to be annexed into the city because it's in the urban growth area. So if it was not in the urban growth area, that is definitely a consideration that we would take. But since it is in the urban growth area, we did consider the impacts on annexing land in the future and how development can occur up north if you had walls in that area. And secondly, there are residents to the west of it who are complaining about their view obstruction. So we're trying to preserve open space. So we were taking differing opinions into consideration and trying to find a balance, and sometimes they don't always support each other. So does that adequately answer your question?
Kind of vague. I get that it's in the urban growth area. Again, in this particular case, you got a bunch of agriculturally based plots with chickens, farms, whatever they got out there, cows. And I would think the developer would want to put up a fence because nobody wants a cow peeking in their backyard. But it would also behoove those people on the other side, right, who want their privacy or don't want a bunch of residential homes. And I only bring up the point because I've heard so much out in the public from people saying, yeah, they're going to put up these houses, or somebody was in here even and read it as something at one of our meetings, I think. So I'm just curious as to why we wouldn't recommend fencing, at least on the north side. That's kind of my thing on it.
That's definitely something we can add tonight if you'd like to discuss that. If I can answer a clarifying point.
Sure.
It could go either way. So we felt there's more evidence on this side, but we can certainly go the other way. We chose this side for several reasons. We didn't believe it was in the public interest. People in the county or in the UGA can put up their own fences. We didn't want the requirement to be on the developer to develop his land. Thought we should leave it up to those individual property owners to decide what they think is best for their properties.
Okay. I spoke enough on that one. Let me think about it. I'll go to my next one. In your packet, from what I could get through, okay, you got a lot there. There's two different site plans. And in one, there's a road going down the hill, and one there's not. Which is the right one?
It's in the attachment as labeled as the submitted plat map. So it should be Exhibit A typically. The geotech might have included the previous plat map. The original submittal did have a different road configuration. So the ultimate design, after staff worked with the applicant to create the best road consideration with the city engineer and the applicant. Yeah, so it does look like this, the stub road to the north, and then down to 9th to Kitty Ave. So those were determined the best places to put in a road.
So page 22.
Yeah, I don't know if Alan wants to address some of this too. He worked on this a little more than I did. The road to the east was not feasible due to the steep slopes.
Okay. So you're looking at the stub road to the north as an avenue for expansion into the county area, the urban growth and the future development.
Yes, if that land is annexed in, then we plan for them to access the city roads.
So it looks like there's two ways in and two ways out.
Yes.
Okay.
And so my second question to that is that stub road far enough east to accommodate future development on the other side? Did we take into account that? And lot sizing, if any kind of future development is out there?
Yeah, that stub road essentially lines up with kind of their private drive they have now. And
Corral Creek?
from Corral Creek, it comes south.
Yeah, that's Corral
Yeah,
Creek still.
There's still Corral Creek.
Yeah,
So yeah, we tried to line those up.
okay, that makes sense. And so we talk about stormwater. Obviously, that was a concern that people brought up. My question to you there is, what are the mitigation measures? Because obviously this is a sloped lot. You're going to have stormwater running down. Whoever was worried about it going north, I don't understand that whole thing, but east I can understand. So what's the mitigation measures, and is it just standard storm runoff? And if so, is there, do we got dry wells or whatever we got?
Correct, yes. They would be required to size it for the 25-year, 24-hour storm. That's by city code.
And the stormwater was addressed in the geotech that they did for this specific site.
As far as drainage, right?
Yeah.
But my concern is you throw all the pavement in there, right? And it's all gonna puddle down here in this corner. We have a project Alan had to do over on Angeline in the past, where the storm system was obviously flawed, but it pooled, went over the curve. The downhill homes were in, well, shall we say, a state of water. And we had to, as a city, address that. I want to make sure that we don't have to come back, or future councils don't have to come back and address that as well. So I trust you in the fact of sizing, but are there contingencies? Have we thought about if there's any kind of overflow, cloggings, those sorts of things with this system?
Right. Well, they will be designing it, so we'll look at it when they design it.
Okay. And I see you have access down to any kind of future walking path, obviously.
Yes.
Now, again, there's a lot of data, so I could only garner bits of it. It obviously ties into Hugh. It's going to tie into the Hugh sidewalks. How does it dump on the 9th? Are those sidewalks running all the way out? What are we doing out there as far as past the property line?
There are not a lot of sidewalks in that area. Those
No,
are not addressed.
There are no sidewalks south of.
I know.
side, yeah.
So I'm wondering how we're going to transition that out. Is there stipulations in here for asphalt runs, ramps, whatever at the end of those sidewalks?
Right, yeah, they'll tie in to where, especially if somebody in a wheelchair, they can come out and get onto the hard surface of the road.
Well, so what I'm looking at is I don't want it like the Dollar General where it's just a flat
Right.
boom.
Right.
That's the end of the sidewalk. Because you're going to have handicapped folks that are going to need access.
Right. Yes, it'll tie into the road system.
It's going to ramp it off and
Yeah.
you okay. And then my final question is, since this is a long plat, this is outside of the other issues that we're dealing with. Is that correct?
Say that again?
You're talking
The
about
moratorium?
Yeah.
It was submitted before.
Yeah.
The
That was
moratorium to
submitted
those,
before?
yeah. So it's
Okay.
vested.
Way before.
Okay, I just want to get it on record that we're following the rule here, so.
Since the moratorium, no applications have been received. I've rejected anything that's come in.
Okay. Anyone else? Now that I've stole the floor.
Would anyone else like to offer comments?
So reading through some of the comment letters, there was concerns about the width of some of the roads and how they're already pretty narrow. It seems like that still got through and it's fine. Are they extra narrow and more problematic? Are there more reasons we should be concerned and other citizens are concerned? And it's a lot of traffic.
There is some traffic impacts, but they don't drop the system below adopted standards. So, I mean, with subdivisions, we have to mitigate it based on proportional impacts. So we didn't see anything that would warrant additional mitigation. Since, it doesn't lower the functionality of the road. I don't know if Alan can talk about road widths on Kitty or Hugh.
I know Hugh is built to city standards, the current city standards.
Ellen, we can't hear you through unless you speak into the microphone, please.
So Kitty is the road of concern a little bit, but I think just not looking at it, the information right off the top of my head, I don't know what the exact width is, but Hugh is built to city standards, current city standards. So, and like Emily said, it goes on the level of service. So if the level of service isn't dropped to be certain below a certain level, then it's not considered a detrimental impact. So
Will there be room for on-street parking?
we're on Kitty or
I think she's talking about in the development.
inside the development, yeah, the roads will be built to the current residential standards.
How wide
Okay.
road is that?
I believe that's 32 feet. Curb to curb.
Okay. So again, your packet's got a lot and I couldn't get it all. Variance, what was the variance?
Well, this might be another good one for Alan. It's to do with the cross slope, and I did have a good diagram in the planning commission staff report, but I didn't put that in yours. So typically a roadway high point in the middle and it goes down to the side. So rainwater falls and collects on
Right.
both sides. Because of the steep slopes of this area, they want to do a single slope. So everything collects on one side. So you reduce the impacts to the critical area, which is a steep slope. There's less grading and there's less impact to the environment. If you want to comment on that.
Yeah, it'd be similar to what we did right here on Dell Avenue, is because the side slope is so high. If we did a normal cross section with the high point in the middle, you'd have deeper cuts on one side, and then you'd have to do more fill on the other side. So if you can tilt it, then you have less cut on this side and less fill on this side, so it matches the terrain a little better.
And I guess since I'm the parks guy, I'm gonna run that one. I was looking at the plat map here and I cannot find where there's a park.
The 1 acre park doesn't seem to be there.
Yes, so there's not a park in the SEPA DNS. It includes a mitigation measure. So all of the future lots are subject to a Parks and Recreation mitigation fee in lieu of park land dedication. And so we use the city standard of how much land they would have to dedicate. That's how much money based on the appraisal of that amount of land that gets divvied up by each of these lots. And so that fee is due at the time of building permit or before they get the C of O. So each of those lots will pay into a fee
Okay. So my final comment is going to be to Kitty Avenue and 9th Street. We as the council, to function in the future, we've got to figure out some sort of improvement to one or both of those streets with this development going in, because quite frankly, I've got a feeling, this is just me, that everybody's going to come into this development off of Hugh. And they're not going to go out Kitty, and they're not going to go out 9th. Because if you get down by Well House 3, the road sucks. It's Kitty Wampus, it's broken up. If you go up Kitty, that's a fairly rural, congested area going through there. Kids playing in the street. There's an apartment complex there. We're going to have to address some of this as a council in the future. So I make that concern known right now. And that's all the questions or concerns I have.
Are there any other questions? Okay, Emily or Craig, can you clarify for me? There's a recommended motion on this, but we also have the same motion on the next approval agenda. So do we need to do both?
We got to close the public record here.
Yeah, we would have to, again, we'd make a single motion on the item that either approve, deny, or approve with additional conditions, the plat application, which we would do outside of the closed record hearing on our action item list.
Okay, so this one that's in here for the closed record hearing, we do not have to make.
I don't know how it's worded. I think it's worded. I'm trying to find it here.
It's adopting the 6 findings of fact and the 10 conditions in the staff report, and to approve the plat application together with the requested variance
Sounds
to
fine.
allow single slope roadway sections. That's in this first packet, which was the closed record hearing. And then there's just a short one under the resolution or whatever this is.
That's better.
Yeah, that motion will have to be made once the closed public hearing, once you close the closed record hearing.
Okay, so then my next move is to close the public record hearing. So the public record hearing is now closed. Okay. So we will then move on to items for approval. And the first is River North preliminary plat conditional approval. So at this time, we would make that motion.
So before we do that, I wrote this motion on here because I didn't know that there was one on page 6, but per Craig's, he recommends you do the motion on page 6 of the staff report, whoever wants to do it.
I move to adopt the 6 findings of fact and 9 suggested conditions contained in the staff report, including the approval of the variance, and recommend approval of the River North preliminary plat application to the city council.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Funk, aye.
Mochler, aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, the next item is the first reading of ordinance 1040, amendment to municipal code chapter 1510, titled Flood Damage Prevention. And from my standpoint, I think we need to have some discussion on this, some serious discussion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
motion to table until the next meeting for discussion. I need time to review this. There's so much in it.
Yes, and there's a lot of commitments on our part that we need to discuss in detail. So we will table this for today. Do I have a second to table this?
Reed second.
Okay, so all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Funk eye.
Mochler, aye.
Okay, thank you. This will be tabled till the next meeting. Okay, the next one is acceptance of water system telemetry project by Total Energy Management. And Alan, I believe you're going to handle that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item here is the acceptance of the telemetry project. And you have a question,
I do.
okay?
So this is the complete telemetry, right? Everything's done?
Everything's done.
So they get their little beeper set, says that the water's not working, or the beeper goes off, says the sewer's got a problem.
Yes, it's set up with the telemetry and SCADA down at the treatment plant. So Wade has a computer, he can look at the whole system right on the screen. And then, yes, there's the call out to him.
Now, this also includes the water piece too, right? The valving and such that you were talking about.
It doesn't include anything on the pressure reducing valve. There's nothing set up. I mean, that's been there 40, 50 years. So,
Okay, so this is a future endeavor, I take it.
yeah, if we would do something there.
So this only deals with the sewer piece.
No, this does water and sewer.
Okay,
So
That's what I thought.
it mainly looks at the wells and the reservoir,
okay.
2 reservoirs.
And it gives
the water.
them any kind of deficiency, low water mark.
Yep, it shows them
Um,
the water elevation, and there's call outs for low water, high water, pumps failing to run. I think there's probably a call out for a pump not turning off.
Okay, so that would be my next question. So a few years back, we had that big flood up there in Legion Heights. Does that system say, hey, that there's too much water flowing out of the system right now, or?
Well, it'll give a high water alarm to him. So
Okay.
it'll give him that information before it overflows.
No, I was talking about when that pipe broke and it was just dumping water down the hill.
Oh,
Is it
I guess I
gonna,
wasn't aware of that.
is that
It-
gonna tell them that?
It will tell them when you get a low water alarm. If the level in the reservoir drops to a certain level, it'll kick off an alarm.
So we have to potentially lose 500,000 gallons of water before it'll tell somebody,
You know, whatever the thing
whatever it's
is
set
holding.
to. Yeah.
Okay.
Does it measure, Alan, does it possibly measure rate of loss? So that if you had a rate change that would
No.
indicate something was wrong?
No, it doesn't. Because then if you had a fire and you were opening up the hydrants, and you get those alarms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that would be okay if they got the alarm for that.
Yeah.
It's the other one I worry about.
Well, we could talk to the Total Energy, see if there's a way to
Adjust
try
the,
to configure that. So we have
Well,
that.
it's worth a thought.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
just been
understand.
sticking in my craw ever since
Right.
that whole deal happened. Because I think it was, I don't know, however many millions of gallons went away and tore out the hillside or whatever. So it's up to your standard.
Yep.
You believe it's functioning appropriately?
Yes, we do.
Any other council members have questions?
And we've adjusted for the taxes.
Yes, he's figured that one out.
Broke it down right there.
Yeah.
I make a motion to accept the water system telemetry by Total Energy Management. Total amount of $75,093.10.
Reed, second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Okay.
Mochler, aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. We can pay
Yeah,
for the.
will be sent out tomorrow.
Rebecca, I didn't hear what you said.
I was just advising council that the notice of completion to Labor and Industries, Allen will be sending out tomorrow, now that it has passed.
Okay. All right. So the next item is the acceptance of the lift station number 2 project by Industrial Construction of Washington. Mr. Rainey.
So here we have the lift station 2. It was completed in compliance with the specs and plans. And so we're recommending acceptance of the project.
So this does now have a ladder going into it and stuff?
It does not have a ladder.
It does not.
Nope. We don't want anybody going down there.
The pumps are outside then?
The pumps are in the wet well, but it has a chain hoist. You just connect to it. The chain or cable sits right up at the top. You connect up to it and just pull it right out of the top. So
Okay.
no personnel has to go down inside.
Okay, I know that was a concern previously on
Yes.
lift station 2. And I
Correct.
just want to make sure that we're,
Nope, we're keeping everybody outside.
okay, works for me.
And also there's a valve vault. Before, the valves were inside the wet well.
Mhm.
So now standard practice is to put that outside. So it's not in a caustic environment, doesn't rust. So your valves last a lot longer.
Yeah. So you say the pump is a chain hoist out. How do they disconnect it?
It comes up and there's a vault just next to the wet well. And it's basically a plug. You just undo the electrical cord and then that pulls out through the wet well.
And how does the plumbing
So-
for the pump get out of there? I'm,
So there's a rail system that the pump rides on and it comes down. And when it gets to the bottom, it's got a little connector in it. It kind of swings in to make the connection, a seal for the pump discharge that goes up the discharge pipe.
okay. Sounds better.
A lot better.
Anybody else have a discussion on it? I make a motion to accept the lift station 2 project by Industrial Construction of Washington with the assurance of Alan Rainey in the total amount of $259,259.96. It's a lot of money.
Wadsworth, second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Okay.
Mochler, aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Okay, the next item is Kerr Law Group Task Order 2022, number 001A. And Mr. Briggs.
Yep, so, just real brief here. We're coming back to council. Obviously, we had our initial estimate was an underestimate, which, obviously we try to avoid that type of thing. I prefer to have an overestimate and come back to council and let you all know that we didn't utilize the entire amount of the authorization. This was a significant undertaking. I believe it was roughly 130 pages in length. Our prior associate, Jeff Briggs, did most of the review in conjunction with our of council. So at this point, we've eaten up that 10 hours of review time. It still needs to go to the city planners so that they can review our comments on that document and provide some follow-up comments and potential for changes, which is going to mean a second round of review. I think that review is obviously going to be quite a bit shorter because we tend to whittle these things down, so it gets more narrower in terms of what we're looking at. So I'm hopeful that we're not going to utilize the full 10 hours, but there's a possibility that we may need to do that. So hopeful that we can get it done, under that 10 hours. But at this point, we wouldn't be able to conduct any review post planners, which, could be risky, I think, considering what we're doing here with regard to our, some significant.
Just for the design standards, I should interject here. So we would like to move as quickly as we can on those.
Okay. So a little off topic, but you mentioned previous. And you were asked to speak to that to
Yeah, I
council
apologize.
last meeting.
Yeah, so Jeff Briggs is no longer with our office. He accepted a position over at Franklin County Prosecutor's Office earlier this month. Started, I believe, when we returned after the July 4th holiday. So
Okay. So I love to pay the attorney. Make a motion to approve career law group task order number 2022-001.A for a review of Benton City Municipal Code Title 20.
Mochler second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Sandra, aye.
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Mochler, aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, moving on then to the air conditioning problem and the community center. And Marco Lopez is here with the 3 estimates that were received in his recommendations.
So my name is Marco Lopez, and I am Parks and Facilities Lead for Benton City. So I got together here 3 proposals. The first one is Jacob and Rhodes for heating and air conditioning. And the description here is a main system replacement. Installation of new Daikin 5-ton heat pump outdoor unit, Daikin 5-ton air handler, heat strip kit, necessary sheet metal transitions to tie to existing duct system, refrigeration and condensate piping, complete installation and startup, and an addition of 4 ceiling supplies to kitchen area for main system. And the numbers for that is 14,259 plus applicable sales tax. And it's all based on prevailing wage.
So on that one, it's 14,000 plus tax. Tax is not included in those 14,000.
Who does that? Go on to the next one.
Yeah. And the second one is Pancho's Heating and Cooling. And the description for that is an American standard 5-ton retro, a 5-ton 15-seat heat pump and variable speed TEM 660 air handler, 20 kW heat strip, thermostat, line set flush, risers, pad materials and labor. And it's recommended on adding extra return for proper airflow or air handler will cost extra, stated here. And the added supply would be to the kitchen, flex, boots, materials and labor. And the total for that is a 12,384 with 9 cents.
Does include tax.
Okay.
However, if you notice on this estimate, they actually gave us a different estimate for an 18 kPUT Mitsubishi mini split, 18K indoor head, 18K outdoor heat pump, line set pad, pump ups, channel material labor. Electrician will have to run power. Highly recommend this properly to cool the kitchen. So in this 12,384.09, the kitchen is not included. So if we want to add the kitchen, it's an additional 6,000, which in total would be close to $19,000.
Gotcha.
from that.
Okay,
Moving on.
We got the third one. The third proposal here is Chinook Heating and Air, which they were the first ones that came out when it first broke down. And one of the guys made it work for a couple of days. After he came back, he said it was just the mortar had given out, and he recommended someone coming out here, a technician, to give us a bid. So the description for that was a quality installation of an American standard single stage heat pump and variable speed air handler. Efficiency ratings, 15 SEER, 9.5 HSPF, heat pump, single stage, air handler, variable speed, 15 kW electric heat, Pro 800, 8,000, I'm sorry, Honeywell thermostat, pre-made concrete pad, size to fit, 4 adjustable heat pump legs, pump ups, flush existing line set, electrical reconnection, system startup and commissioning, permits, LNI and mechanical, PUD rebate processing if applicable, all labor for complete installation, all materials needed to complete installation, duct work, transitions and reconnections, disposal of all old equipment, new equipment warranty registration, 10-year 10-year parts warranty, 10-year compressor warranty, 2-year labor warranty, and 1 preventive maintenance check 6 months from install. And add-on options was a complete ductwork cleaning, air cleaners, upgrade filtration and humidifiers, and hot water heater. And I did ask them of adding 4 vents for the kitchen, since there's no, there's no air running through there. And they added that, and the total with sales tax is a 15,932 with 40 cents.
Okay.
And it's all it's prevailing wage and everything exactly.
So on what he's presenting, I've added the sales tax to Jacob and Rhodes, since there's no sales tax included. That total comes up to 15,485.27 with sales tax. The difference I see in these two, just based off of me, so you guys know, is Chinook gets the permits, they dispose of our old equipment, and there's warranty and everything stated. We don't know if Jacobs and Rhodes will do all of that. So I don't know if they will get the permits for us, LNI and mechanical, or if we have to pay for those. I don't know if they'll take away our old equipment. It's not as specific as Chinook. So between the two, it's about a $500 difference.
I'm good with the Chinook.
Where's this coming out of the budget at?
What this would do is we have $14,000 set aside for the kitchen to replace the stove. We had put that in there for this budget. With your guys' permission, I would reallocate those $14,000 to this. Because the kitchen stove still works, so we can put it in the budget for next year to replace the kitchen stove. I would reallocate those $14,000 to this, and then the remaining take out of the ending fund balance of the general fund.
You can have that set for the next meeting.
Oh, yeah, I'll put it on there for the next person. That would be part of the budget amendments that I'm doing. If you guys approve this, then I will reallocate that and put it part of the budget amendments.
I make a motion.
Well, if I could just, before we make any motions, because I just, to point out the obvious, we do typically go through kind of a public procurement process, and it sounds like we've kind of done some of that here with soliciting several bids for evaluation. But what I would, because I did hear the word emergency mentioned initially. I don't know that we've made any formal finding. What I would suggest at this point is that if we do believe that presents an emergency type situation, that would allow our executive, in this case, the mayor, to procure outside of, normal competitive process, a contract in this context for related to replacement of an AC unit due to the failure of the current one in our community center. I think that is probably something that could qualify, rise to that level of emergency, but I think we first, want to see that that finding made. I think, the mayor could make that finding, could go through the procurement process of, with regard to this particular contractor, and then bring that back for council, because I think it would be more appropriate since we're, spending some money here to do this by way of a resolution, and also to note in that resolution that, the facts relating to the emergency, essentially that at this point, we have no way of hosting those events. We've got upcoming events that are going to need to be canceled because we can't have them in a community event center in 100-degree heat with no AC.
So let me get this right. The solution is great information. No, don't rent it out. Authorize the mayor to do something, and we'll talk about it August 2nd. That's your solution?
No, well, my solution is not to do this by a motion. I think we
Okay.
should have a resolution. I think this should be in writing.
So then we're needing to create a resolution to declare an emergency on the community center, that there's no AC.
Right, to allow us to bypass the typical competitive procurement process.
Well, I don't think we have to be on the competitive procurement process because the valuation is below the state threshold. I think we can go to a small vendor list if we have one established.
Right, have we done that?
I didn't know, I don't know if we have one or not.
I would agree with
The
you. but-
small works roster, you mean?
Yes.
Right,
Okay, I'll have to ask Jose if these people were on there. He's not here. I don't know if these people that we got the bids from are on the small works roster. I'll have to confirm with him. And if they are, then we don't have to do the resolution and we can just go ahead and,
Can we just do the resolution and allow this to repair to begin?
I think we can't do, if I'm understanding what Craig is saying, we can't begin repairs until that resolution
what I'm
passes.
saying is that if the mayor finds that there's an emergency condition that exists, she doesn't have to wait until the point that council has done, has made a finding that there's an emergency, that they agree with her to go out and procure contracts outside of the competitive process. That's what I'm saying.
Madam Mayor, if
Yes,
you find that emergency exists, can I suggest Chinook Heating and Air to do the repairs since they list a warranty?
go with which one?
My suggestion would be Chinook Heating and Air since they actually. list
Yes,
the
it
warranty.
sounded like they were the best deal of all.
Should you
and-
find an emergency exists?
Yes, I think an emergency does exist. We've had to give back money and try to relocate some people, see who else would take them. And it just has created a lot of ill will. And it would be, my concern that we don't have it ready for Benton City Days. And that would really mess up a lot of things. So if I can move to issue the contract now with your confirmation and confirming the length of time on the emergency situation at the next meeting, then I think we can at least get moving this way.
Your suggestion, Craig?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
I look forward to hearing your resolution at the next council meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Ask as a point of clarification, Madam Mayor, if it was an emergency, the mayor could have already got this started.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
could have had a resolution tonight and the work could have already been ongoing.
Yes.
And that wouldn't have been a problem. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But it's, yeah, but I mean, the other issue is that this is really something you probably want to do in writing as opposed to just a verbal motion.
And I just actually got the price quotes this morning. So
Yeah.
there was no way to do a resolution or anything or assign anybody until we got all of this information. We knew that the emergency was there, that the AC had to be fixed, but we didn't get any price quotes based off of what we have already with the heat pumps and everything till this morning.
And if it was an emergency on July 8th, like Chinook indicated in their quote, which is the earliest quote, we didn't need to wait.
Actually, they just, to clarify, we got this today. And we didn't get it on the 8th.
Okay.
They just didn't change their date.
Okay.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you to Public Works for your efforts on this and getting it taken care of.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay, so at this time, we'll take those actions and get going on the air conditioner. And then we would like to move into executive session. And the RCW number is 4230-110-1G. Evaluation of qualifications.
How long do you think we'll need?
10 minutes.
I don't know. I guess I leave that up to you. How long do you think it's gonna take for us to go through everything? It could be,
Councilmember Reed says 10 minutes.
okay, let's shoot for 15 then at the most and just to be safe. Because
So
then, okay,
get everybody.
Still transferring people.
9:35, okay.
Thanks.
Welcome.
okay. All right, reconvening the city council meeting. We have an item for approval of the candidate, and council would like me to arrange for some training sessions and then make the offer.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I believe you can't speak about this since it was
Okay.
covered in executive session.
what can I say? So somebody tell me what I can say.
No action to be
Action to
taken.
Be taken, right.
And adjourn the meeting.
Madam Mayor, so we just have to say no action was taken, but before we adjourn, under general council comments, as city clerk, can I make a comment? Before we adjourn?
Yes, as long as it's not in the, from the executive session, I guess.
No, it's not.
Okay,
So at this time and point, I want to let city council know that I turned in my resignation letter on Monday. My last day will be July 29th. This will be my last city council meeting. I appreciate, I made it a year. August 2nd would have been my 1-year anniversary. So I did make it a full year. I do appreciate you guys sticking by me, your encouragement, your understanding of what I came into. And I just hope that as I walk out the door, the person coming in with everything that I've done is just able to pick up and keep going. I have done a lot. And again, like I said, this was a hard decision, but I do appreciate all of you and all my office family, my council family. That's what you guys are to me. Sorry. So just know that I appreciate you all very much. This community, this council office. And I do hope that the person you guys choose is able to step up to the plate. They don't got big shoes to fill, but they have some shoes to fill, I feel. So again, just know that I appreciate you all and I will miss you all very much.
Thank you for your service to the city.
Yes, thank you, Rebecca.
okay. So are there any other council comments?
No.
Okay, hearing none, we will adjourn the meeting if I have a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Mochler, aye.
Okay, motion carries. Good night.
Bye.